Hi, I'm Keisha, founder of Sugar Gamers, and I am here with the founders and creators of Sikh Comics. And introduce yourselves.
Ravi Singh.
Amardev, Amardev. I'm the creator.
So, could you tell me a little bit about Sikh Comics, the characters, and what is it that what's the goal here? What are you trying to convey to your audience?
Well, every guy with a turban when I was growing up was like a bad guy. And so my mom sent me to my room and said, go create your own superhero. So, voila, the turban has always had a hard time as a negative connotation. And so what we did was we wanted to change it and mix it up and make it all upside down and make the guy with the turban a hero. And, he took a childhood idea that I had when I was 9 years old. And he said, Ravi, why aren't you doing this? And I said, I am doing it. He goes, no, why aren't we blowing it up? So he blew it up.
Yeah, I wrote the original script and a lot of the characters' sort of stories and whatnot. And then we got a writer from Marvel or DC. And we've got artists that do the Green Hornet, and we're like really getting it going. And as you can see, it's very, very cool.
Well, I mean, that's really touching. Representation is very important. It's one of the things that Sugar Gamers is about too. And creating your own superheroes, creating your own stories is the beginning of seeing what the new, future is going to look like of geek culture, because we can't have Batman and Superman forever.
And we can't have them as black or brown or etc. I mean, there has to be our own characters from our own culture.
Originally, he was sort of like, he had this idea for a hero, right? And it was like, just sort of like Superman. And it was like, well, there's not really any, we're trying to make something different, but it wasn't really that different. And so he was sort of like the hero, and then I sort of had the idea for the superpowers, which was the chakras, right? So the yogic tradition, which is what I was raised into, was really sort of has that interesting sort of world to it. And I was like, well,
Dave is a master yoga teacher.
At 15 years old, Amardev is a master yoga teacher. Did I hear that correctly?
That's an exaggeration.
No, he teaches classes in yoga.
On occasion.
But the yoga, so in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, there are chakra levels, and every 7 chakras have a different power. So each of our characters all are given a chakra power, and they're symbolized by the colors. So what we did was we took actually concepts from Hinduism, Buddhism, and even Sikhism and incorporated them in the comic book. And every single person is a different religion. We have a Catholic, we have Rosa Costa, who's from Puerto Rico, we have Juan Carlos from Colombia, we have Susie, who's from Ireland. And then they do these yoga positions, and these are actual yoga positions that activate these chakras.
I mean, you being a 15-year-old yogi practitioner, if I am saying that right, what advice do you have for other young people who are like sort of struggling to find what they want to do and how they want to create and how to find motivation?
I think it's really just about finding someone that's willing to help you. Like you can do it yourself, but it's so much easier. I've got Ravi, I've got our artist Eric. He takes care of so much stuff. These guys are pulling all-nighters.
It's 100% team effort. And, Amardev does conference calls. We have weekly conference calls. We're incorporated in Delaware. I mean, he's understanding the business sense of it. So we didn't want this just to be a startup of an idea. We actually wanted this to go and be our legacy. And he said, by the time I'm out of high school, this should be epic. So.
And that's beautiful. You've heard it here. Teamwork, collaboration, hard work, is what makes Sikh Comics. Check it out.
A lot of video games.
And a lot of video games, of course. So I'm Keisha at Wizard World 2015 signing out. Thanks.
Titanium Comics saddles up to bring you another character from the pages of your favorite supernatural Western comic. It's all the Western and none of the spaghetti. In this video, we introduce you to Jeremiah, Arcane of the Arcane. Jeremiah is our reluctant hero in this series and lives the life of a recluse with his mother. He's taller than his brothers, quite fiery, and shares the same dark curse of his kin. The marks on the insides of his hands reveal the point from which his powers flow. These marks emanate light, which allow him to paralyze anything moving or hurl objects and people in any direction he chooses. Early on in our story, we learn he fathers a son named Phelan with his lover Quinn. But we soon find out that there is more to this young child than would seem. Keep reading to find out more about Jeremiah and his curse in the arcane.